Dip those computer screens. Perfect. Okay. So, the first thing I want to show you is 2 ways for you to keep your drawings organized as you're making them. And one is grouping, which I know that you guys probably have done before. Let me just get a couple of things on here. Whoa. Get them in different colors. So when you are maybe needing to move things from layer to layer or move them just around the page, or if it's something that you want to change all to be a certain color, you can have your selection tool click on all of those, object group. There is a shortcut for that as well, Command G, and what's that? Control G, yes, sorry. And now whenever I select any of these, I can select any of these shapes and they're all going to be moved together. It's like they're glued together. At any time you can select these and ungroup them, and then they'll go back to their individual states. So this is something that you're going to probably have to use quite a bit, so get used to that one. And then the other thing that I wanted to show you is arranging, and there's 2 ways that you can get to arranging the shapes. Which shape in this cluster right here is on the bottom? The square. And on the top is the what shape? Star, right? And so if I want that star to go below the hexagon, object arrange, send backward, and that's just going to go one, like if these were stacked on top of each other, it's going to go below the last one that's right below it. And if I just want to instead send it right to the back, I would go send to back. The other way that you can do this is by right-clicking, arrange, send backward, send to back, that sort of thing. Okay, so 2 ways to keep yourself organized as you create things. When you start to have like 20 plus objects on a page, this one really does come in handy, that arranging. So the other thing I wanted to show you guys about is opacity. And opacity, once you have that object selected, is up here. Opacity is how transparent or how see-through this is. This is going to work really well if you want to overlap and shade drawings, or mix colors, that sort of thing. Get this sort of more dull version of a saturated color, so like a more desaturated version of a bring that up in front so you guys can see how that is arranged. Now the other way that you could do this, like let's say that you have a couple of layers of things going on, you can also double click on the layer and dim images to 50% or whatever percent you end up doing. Why didn't that do that? Did it change for you guys, do you think?
I think it did, you just didn't notice it.
Yeah.
Dim images, let's try something else.
No.
Yeah.
Try a different layer with other stuff that isn't dimmed, see if it works.
Oh, right, so put something behind it.
Layer behind it.
Oops. Oh, here, we'll do this. Oops. You guys see what's happening up here? This might be something that you're seeing that happens as well. When you have multiple layers, you can collapse them and expand them. So now I can see all of these different paths that are housed within that layer. This one only has that one. So now let's try this once. Try down to 20. Well, I'm sorry. I guess that's what I thought it did. I'll have to look that up and I'll get back to you. So, okay, so as far as we know, the only way to adjust our opacity is up here. There's also a transparency panel, but it doesn't really give you anything more than what this top menu bar does up there. So, okay. Next, I'm going to go into symbols. Do you guys want to test that out? Opacity. Okay, you probably get it. Okay, so symbols. There's this little tool over here. It's called the symbol sprayer. And that is really only helpful once you have your symbols panel open. So open up the symbols panel. In here we have lots of libraries of things. Yeah, should we check out sushi?
The ones are super large and usually are larger than your canvas. So
The dot ones?
Artboard, the dot ones.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's take a look at that. So there's two ways we can click and drag it onto our page. Or you can use your symbol sprayer and you can spray all sorts of sushi all over your page. Now, if I click off and I grab my selection tool, all of these are going to be grouped together automatically because they were made in the symbol sprayer there. And so you can unlock those by clicking that little break link to symbol. Now they're all their own kind of shapes almost. And if we go object ungroup, then we can select one away from that. And now if we do object ungroup again, now I can get in here and I can start, if I zoom in, not that close, but this close. You guys see this cool gradient mesh that they used in there? Yeah.
That looks delicious.
Now what I can do is I can grab, see there's our gradient mesh, there's another gradient mesh. I can grab these, and if I want to adjust the color on here to a different sort of color scheme, you could play around with that. So with some of these symbols, this one is pretty complex to be changing things, but you might be able to go in there and have fun with that.
I did that with my thing.
Now the other way, if I take us back a little bit and let me zoom out, that you could do this, let's get a different one just to see. If I were to do this one, okay, I can also double click on here, and do you see this? This is called isolation mode, and where up here we have, when you double click on an object, it'll automatically take you into where it like pulls this away almost from everything else that's on that canvas, and so that you can work with just this one object. It sees this as one object because you use a symbol sprayer. And so now to get out of this, you would always have to click back.
Or double click anywhere that is not the object.
Yeah, or double click, off of that object, right. Now I can unlock those and then ungroup them. And again, I can get into isolation mode that way as well. So I know that some of you have experienced this mode before, so I just wanted to kind of give you a good background as to what that is for. All right, at this point, I want you guys to try some of this stuff out. I'm sorry. One last thing is when you change the color. So, for instance, oops, what am I doing? If I were to do this and I change the color, oops, unlock. Of these, why is that going just to black? I need to look at that. I'm not sure why that is. Alexander, we've had this problem with you too before, right? Where it's like the colors won't show up. Or was that
when it's only a black and white thing? If you just select something that isn't black and white, it usually adds it to. So if you selected something with any hint of color.
Any hint of color?
Perhaps with
All right.
eyedropper.
Well, I'm going to have to play around with this a little bit. I'm not sure. Of course, whenever you're doing a demo, things don't work the way that they did when you tested them out. But now if I go back to, let me open up my symbols again. If I go back to this, say I click off to start a new set of that, it's going to automatically, even if I'm back on a different color, it's going to automatically spray it the color that it, liars.
It took me a while to do that one on the picture that I did.
Yeah, so before when I was doing this and I was changing the color of it, it was not doing that. I don't know what's going on. All right, well, this is a bad example. Why don't you guys play around with symbols and see, there's this huge library in here, so check all these out and see how they can be useful to you.